Disclaimer. Same one I gave with Girl Who Believes in Miracles. I am reviewing a religious film, but it is still a film. God did not make this movie. So keep this in mind. I am reviewing a film. That's what I do. This is a review of the film I watch. This is not a review necessarily of you, your religious beliefs, or your religion in general, or your God. It's a review of this film. I am not here to review people's belief system, whether I agree with it or not. That is their business, and it has nothing to do with me. And for the most part, my opinions somewhat align. As long as you're not an insane person or a bigot. For the most part, I do see the purpose in spirituality, okay? I will also state that this movie, right off the bat, is not as bad as the aforementioned Girl Who Believes in Jesus are, but then again, nothing really could be at this point in the year, this year, or ever. That movie was awful. In fact, I will say this, my view of this movie, I will say also, is not entirely negative. Surprisingly not negative. Some of it is. It's not going to be extremely positive, but it's going to be somewhat positive. So, with that being said, hello, Grant the movie and TV guy. Movies and TV is what we do here. I also should mention, to talk about certain things, I'm going to talk about some things that might be unsavory to some viewers, and viewer discretion is advised. Alright. I'm Grant the movie and TV guy, as I said. Movies and TV is what we do here, and today we are talking about a film that you may not have heard of. Certainly people in my town didn't, because I was the only one in this theater at its first showing, and it seems like no one else is going, because I saw some of the other showtimes this weekend, and it seems like there's maybe one other person all weekend who's seeing it, which is surprising for this kind of movie. Show Me the Father. Show Me the Father is directed by a guy named Rick Altizer. I do not know his work. Probably works primarily in the Christian film industry, and by that I mean he's not really a filmmaker. It is produced, however, by people who are extremely popular in the Christian film community that I have heard of, the Kendrick brothers, who also appear in the film. And this film is a documentary where the primary blanket idea is, what is a father? Both religiously and just in life. What is a good father? What's a bad father? And what does that have an impact on the young men going forward? Almost entirely the fathers, however, are in straight relationships. They would not go that far to have any same-sex couples in their movies. That would defeat their message. But, I also wanted to sympathize this. I think, for the most part, I don't know much about them personally outside of their cinema work. Though they're not filmmakers, and they're definitely, within their work as filmmakers, they're not good at it. I have to say, the Kendrick brothers, I think, are well-intentioned. I don't think they're bad people. I think they're actually quite good people at heart. But they're really not good filmmakers. And that's the first knock against this movie. So this movie is, with certain other elements, prayers, little skits, or not skits, but like little wraparound segments. For the most part, the main body of this film is 5 father stories being told by the people who went through them. Some of them good, some of them bad, both in their messaging and just in the general what happens to the kids involved in these situations. Some of them get a little repetitive, however, because there's a lot of them that are about alcoholism, and I understand, I know, abuse is a big deal. Wow, what a great insight, Grant. No, I'm saying, I am not, when I say this, I am not undercutting the story of the people who went through this, because that is horrible. For a father to hurt their child in any way is evil. It simply is. It's bad. I do not think that you should, that is one time where me and Ned Flanders in the Simpsons movie, collide, where you should not, the only time ever you should lay your hand on a child if you're a man is to give them a hug or a pat on the back, and nothing more. That is true. And especially also, it's also preferable that they are actually a child in your life that you know. You know what I mean? Look, not your child. Your kid. Your actual child. But some of the stories are actually quite good. That's what I'll say. And one of them, well really 2 of them that wrap around, are actually kind of great. That's the thing. There are good segments of this movie that are actually surprisingly kind of good and moving and well done. Here's the problem. Now, how do I put this? The one story which involves, I'll say this. I won't spoil it for the people who do choose to see this film, but I will say this. One of the stories early on involving a football player and his bond, his fatherly bond as a football coach, is more than you think it is later in the film. It comes back in a cool way. In a way that actually hurts this movie in the long haul, because that segment actually, as a movie on its own, like, take out all the unnecessary proselytizing and some of the quicker skits and stuff. If you just make the whole movie that, two-pronged story, that's a movie, and a good faith-based movie. Honestly, that's a good movie and a good faith-based movie. Fill in the details that you inevitably left out, get it to 90 minutes, and make that a movie. If they did, show me the father, Dylan McConnell, I believe the guy's name, the Dylan McConnell extended, just only cut, I'd actually probably go see that movie in the theater again. Because I am actually curious about the stuff they leave out. But essentially, here's the biggest knock against this movie. It's also kind of a sweet story involving one of the Kendrick brothers' adoption story with his wife. That actually was quite touching. I do give credit to anyone who opens their heart and their home to a kid who is not in a good situation and takes the bit. It does have some shades of that kind of... Not The Blind Side, because I actually like that movie more than other people, but let's put it... That kind of Stepford-y thing of, we just felt so happy for us that we did this for this kid. And I'm not saying anything about the Kendricks themselves. I'm sure they're nice people, but I feel like there was some sense of arrogance to that, just a little bit, just within what I've seen in the film, not in real life, but just from the limited time they spent on that story. It did feel a little bit... Also, there are some cheesy elements. I'll say this also. The filmmaking in this movie, before we get to the really bad thing, another minor thing, the filmmaking in this movie is better than in Jesus Orb, which isn't saying much, but it still kind of is shot and edited and looks like a PSA you'd see at 3 a.m. on the Christian Broadcast Network. It does feel like not really a movie. And I get that because the Kendrick brothers themselves say in this film and have said elsewhere, they're not filmmakers. They're pastors. They fell into making movies to further their thing. So Big Joel, I believe, yeah, he did the video on this where he said something really cool the best way to review this movie is to stop thinking of them as films and think of them as sermons. Because they say themselves they're not filmmakers. True. So, maybe it was 24 frames a day. I don't know. His review of God's Not Dead, which is a horrible movie. Basically, and I'm really glad I don't see the fourth one because it's technically a Fathom event and it doesn't break my stride of seeing every wide release at our theater of a new film this year. But it does not feel like a film. But the biggest thing that I saved for the end, and I'm not going to talk too much on this, is about 20 or more minutes of this 90-minute movie. And I'll say this also, it's really well-paced. I will say that. It's more well-paced than mainly because it's about a half hour shorter than the average Alex Kendrick movie. But, essentially, I'd say a good third of this movie, or close to a third of this movie, a sizable chunk of it, a whole act worth if this was a 3-act kind of, narrative film, is dedicated basically to kissing the ass of Dr. James Dobson and Jim Daly. Now, if you don't know who those are, he's the former, I don't think he's with us, and the other one is the current head of a group called Focus on the Family, which some of this movie feels a little bit like an infomercial for. If you don't know what Focus on the Family is, you probably shouldn't know, but I'm going to break that illusion for you right now. This is the important stuff I'm going to say. It is a religious media company that is not a religious media company. It's a hate group. Particularly, hate among anything. Very anti-LGBT and anti-gay. So much so, and I'm going to say something that is mostly taken directly from the man himself. The one that, at one point, the character says at the end of the movie, was a great man and one of the best men I've ever known. Jim Dobson, you know what he actually said? I'm going to say this. Don't mean to scare you. I don't like attacking people's character, but I feel like I have to in this. He said, and I quote, slightly paraphrased, but the point he said. This is going to be kind of graphic, semi-graphic. If you believe that your son, this is him saying this, not me, his words. If you believe that there's a chance during puberty that your son is capable of being gay or turning gay, because, he thinks that it's a choice, which it isn't. It's what you're born to be. You're born gay, just like I'm born straight. Bigots. Anyway, if you have any inkling of feeling that your child, your son, is going to be gay, what you should do is to show him your penis in the shower. Make him look at it so that the idea of male genitals will scare him enough that he will break his potential sinful ways before it ever happens. Pardon my French, but what the hell? Literal hell. That is one of the most oppressively evil things I've ever heard in my life. First off, to not only be anti-gay, which is bad enough, but to be so anti-gay that, honest to God, and he didn't say in a reverent way or like a dogmatic sort of way. No, he said it in, he actually said, it is your duty to do this. He said it as if it was actually God's will to do this, which not any God I pray to, to do this disgusting act. So when he's saying, it's not something that he's anti-gay. He is so anti-gay that he's encouraging, I mean this with all the hyperbole in the world, and I genuinely mean this, incestuous pedophilia. And, everything less than actual full-on child molestation of your own child. That is what he's saying is the solution to curing your gay child. A child who has, or even a child who, if he has even an inkling of being gay. F this guy. And the whole idea that a large chunk of this movie that is getting a wide release in theaters in 2021 is dedicating even a minute. And this guy continues probably the same guy who wanted to cancel SpongeBob because he appeared in a video opposing Prop 8, which this guy propagated, which was the one that basically furthered the fire that luckily was put out in 2013 by people like Jim Obfell, whose case turned the tide, and of course the act that created marriage equality in the United States, which is a wonderful thing, promoted this kind of bullshit. And he and his buddy, who continues to do this, and I've seen him do this, who has said in sermons that you are evil if you like Will and Grace, because on the sheer basis of the fact that it has gay characters, that the guy who did, you are giving any time to this guy, much less a sizable chunk of your film that is getting a wide theatrical release, this guy drops this down so much more than it should have. Because if you had a small but sizable enough chunk about the and made it more of what the movie was, and take out that shit entirely, and then they try to make you feel sympathy for this bad person because he had an abusive dad. Look, I feel for his situation. It is horrible for a father to be abusive. That does not excuse you to encourage bigotry. And of course, they don't mention that stuff in the movie because it's a movie that's promoting a guy like this. So anyway, I have to go. Let's do trailer trash real quick before we go. That's the end. How am I going to say? I'm going to give it 1 star. I can't give it anything less. 1 star, 1.5 for the things that are good, but otherwise I'm disappointed. I'm going to run through these real quick. Trailer trash. West Side Story. Excited for it. Been through it. King Richard. Talked about it. Looking forward to it. Jesus Music looks okay. It's another Christian movie. Encanto looks good. Ghostbusters Afterlife looks good. Courageous Legacy. This is a re-release of their earlier film Courageous. That the trailer basically spoils the movie. I know this because I saw the movie 10 years ago. It's an extended cut. Luckily, it's technically a re-release, so it does not break my position. It's not a new film, so I don't have to actually go see it. And was there shawarma? No, there was not. Okay. We'll be back later with that Casey Musgraves movie and Malignant and more that I don't have time to say. So, that'll be next time. Until next time, I'm Grant, the movie and TV guy. I see it all. I'm happy to share with you. I love you all. Appreciate you all. I love you all, classmates. I love you 3000. Be kind to one another. Like, subscribe if you want to. Bell if you want to. I don't know what it does, but that's what you're supposed to do if you want to find me elsewhere. I am on Letterboxd.com at Grant, the movie and TV guy. Don't go see this movie. I know you're better than this because I love you all. And, yeah, thank you all. See you later. Bye.